Welcome to the Club Development Training. Club President, what is the job about? This morning, the training is going to be focused on three main objectives: to gain a clear view of what is expected in the role of Club President, an appreciation of My Line and LCI, and an encouragement to use the Lions Learning Centre. This morning's presentation is going to be resourced from the following references: the ebook, Club President and First Vice President, the Lions Learning Centre's module, Club President's Responsibility, some information that I've got from the Guiding Line Instruction Handbook, and also I've got information from the Club President's Manual 2019-20 to assist with this training module. There is quite a deal of emphasis on the running of meetings, as this is where, as a president, you are mostly seen by your members. Running meetings smoothly is important to gaining the confidence of the members, making the meeting informative, as well as making it a learning experience. Other aspects to the role of the club president, as per the slide, is planning and familiarisation with the club constitutions and bylaws. As club president, you will quickly find that it's quite often referred to as the Chief Executive Officer of the club, who presides over all meetings of the board and the club. The president issues the call for regular meetings and special meetings of the board and the club, appoints the standing and special committees of the club, ensures regular elections are duly called, notified and held, engage as an active member of the District Governors Advisory Committee and Zone. The key to successful meetings is to always have an agenda and share the agenda with participants prior to the meeting. Start the meeting on time. Meetings should allow everyone to participate. Have transparency within the meeting, that being the minutes and the Treasurer's report should be shared and understood by all. And as a facilitator of the meeting, the club president or chairperson encourage discussion and also keeps the meeting on track at all times. On the subject of agenda, we've talked about agendas and how important that is. Let me look at an example of an agenda for you. You can use this example, if you like, in your own meetings, and then as an alternative club brochure that's been produced recently that I'd like to share with you. Example of an agenda, and I won't bore you by reading this whole thing. Setting a start time. You sit down at your meeting and have it structured so that, for instance, after you've called to order, you have someone read an invocation, you do a roll call and apologies, introduction of guests, possibly pause for a meal at this point, then move on, adopt the minutes of the previous meeting, which may involve reading of the minutes, and then move on to the business portion of the meeting. Then move on to reports of officers, reports from officers and committees, announcements and communications, old and unfinished business, new business, and meeting closed. That would constitute an example of an agenda. An agenda which could be used in formal and informal meetings, but it's important to have an agenda. An alternative to this is discussed in a brochure, Your Club, Your Way. This brochure actually talks about non-traditional agendas and also is linked inside the ebook for you to browse and have a look at. Customising your club meeting is a part which is drawn from the Your Club, Your Way brochure, but this gives you an example of how to start the whole process. Establish your goals, identify program possibilities, Determine the frequency of your meetings, establish date and time for the meetings, determine meals and locations, and question tradition. Remember, the key to meeting success, whether it be formal or informal, is have an agenda. Start on time. Meetings should allow everyone to participate, have transparency, and facilitate the meeting in such a way to encourage discussion and keep the meeting on track at all times. It is handy to understand how your club fits into the big picture. This diagram shows how the club in the centre is the nucleus of the whole of the Lions organisation. A club is recommended to have at least 20 members. A zone comes outside a club, and a zone might consist of 4 to 8 clubs. Then a region. Now regions are optional depending on the size of the district. Then we move on to the larger organisation within the organisation, which is the district. Several districts are given the geographical area and is called and in Australia it's MD201. It's a constitutional area, and our constitutional area includes Australia, New Zealand and Indonesia. Club structures and committee structures in particular. This is a typical club structure where we've got the president, vice president, membership chair, the service chair, marketing, treasurer, secretary, and underneath all that you might have subcommittees being the finance subcommittee, marketing and communications, leadership, membership subcommittee, service subcommittee. And standing committees we mentioned earlier would be such things as a Constitution and Bylaw Committee and Information Technology Committee, which would include someone who runs the Facebook page, your website, those sorts of things, keeping the club membership database up to date, those sorts of things. They're standing committees, which is always very important to have them as always a baseline in any club structure. Also, when you're looking at your club structure, it is important to focus on the role of the lion tamer and tail twister. Now, a lion tamer will care for the display and storage of the club's property, being the flags, gong and gavel. They will serve as a greeter for both guests and members. Tail twister is an important role within the club, and the tail twister promotes harmony, fellowship, fun and enthusiasm to draw the members together at the club meetings, using their best judgment to assist with club administrative fundraising. You should keep in mind when you're building your club and your club committee structure that of the 5 Lions pillars. You also should keep in the back of your mind the importance of the Global Action Team model. The 5 pillars I've referred to there are vision, diabetes, hunger, childhood cancer and the environment. They're the 5 main pillars. There are other causes, many causes like Alzheimer and other causes that the Lions organisation are focused on, but these are the 5 main pillars. And also consider the relationship that's built within the Global Action Team model or the Global Club Action Team model. It's made up from membership, service and leadership, and understand how these 3 main disciplines integrate with each other. Without service, you can't have membership. Without membership, you can't have service. You must have service activities for members to be involved with. And that's the essence of it, is to have one reliant on the other, and to glue it all together, you must have leadership. Now keep those 3 main foci in mind when you're building your committee. Choosing the right chairman and committee members is important, and ideally those people should have expressed a desire to be in a leadership role or be part of the committee. They're dependable, can get along with others in the club and delegate responsibility, and will take directions easily. I'd like now to move on to some key dates in the calendar year. And as a president, you're expected to attend club officer training, which you're doing at the moment, club meetings and board of director meetings, committee meetings as appropriate, participate in service activities and be seen by your members as being an active member of the club. Attend a zone meetings. These are conducted quarterly and pulled together by the zone chairman, and this serves as your participation with the District Governors Advisory Committee. More key dates that you would keep in mind would be the annual business meeting and elections, which is in around about March of every year. The annual general meeting, this is to satisfy the Australian corporate requirements. Inter-club meetings, you're encouraged to meet with members of clubs that are neighbouring clubs. Annual district convention and the annual visit by the district governor of the day. I'd like now to move on to the second component of our objectives for today's training, and that is MyLine and MyLCI. When you access the MyLine, online MyLine, you will be able to see that there's 5 main components. One being MyLCI, which actually manages your membership, creates district and club profiles and so forth. This is where you put membership reports and those sorts of things into it. The next module is the MyLine module, which is where you report service activities. There's a shop module, which is predominantly a USA module, but we do have an Australian line shop which is accessible by their own website. Insights is a handy module where you can see graphical trends of membership, service, etc. The 5th module is the Lions Learning Centre. Now this is a centre which has got umpteen training modules, great for personal development and club development. I encourage you all to access that, and later we'll be talking more about that, and I'll be setting some homework for you. Now, the MyLine has some limitations. It's not perfect, and it has been evolving over the last 18 months to 2 years. Currently, the MyLine should soon be able to produce service activity reports by month, by period. Although there is provision in there to record service, fundraising and admin activities, MyLine currently only accumulates service activities data, and now this is also under review and development. Part 3 of our objectives is the Lion Learning Centre. Now, your homework when you go away from this training today is to access the Learning Centre module, as I've talked to you before about. It's the 5th module in the MyLine suite. Access that and jump onto the responsibilities of club president module and complete it. Then once it's completed, your activities will be, your learning activities that is, will be recorded, and we'll be able to have a look at that and see what training you've completed. Now, let us review. Have we satisfied the objectives of today's training? 1. To gain the expectation of the role of the club president? Yes. An appreciation of the MyLion and LCI? Yes, we've covered that briefly, and bear in mind that whilst we're doing this training for presidents, your secretaries are learning LCI with more detail. And I have encouraged you to access the Lions Learning Centre and to complete the training module being Responsibilities of Club President. That completes today's training. Thanks very much for your attention.